Apply. Beneath the waves, beyond the horizon, lies a mystery that has haunted mankind for centuries. A city said to be so powerful, so advanced it disappeared in a single day and night. Apply. Some call it a myth, others swear it is history's greatest lost civilization. Apply. From Plato's writings to satellite images of the ocean floor, the legend of Atlantis continues to rise from the depths. Was it a real place swallowed by the sea? Apply. Or just a story designed to warn humanity about its own pride? Tonight we dive into the truth behind the Lost City of Atlantis. Myth or reality? Apply. The legend of Atlantis begins not with a myth spun by poets, nor with a tale whispered in folklore, but with one of history's greatest philosophers, Plato. Around 360 BC? Apply. In his dialogues Timaeus and Critias, Plato penned a story that has fascinated scholars, explorers, and dreamers for over 2,000 years. According to him, apply. Atlantis was not just another city, it was an island empire of astonishing size and influence. He described it as larger than Libya and Asia Minor combined, a land rich in resources, apply, blessed with fertile soil and surrounded by oceans teeming with life. This was no ordinary kingdom, it was a vision of perfection. Apply. A civilization that seemed almost too advanced to have existed in his time. Plato claimed the story of Atlantis was passed down to him through Solon, a respected Athenian statesman. Apply, who had supposedly learned it from Egyptian priests centuries earlier. These priests, Plato wrote, apply, spoke of a mighty island beyond the Pillars of Hercules, what we know today as the Strait of Gibraltar. Here, across the vast Atlantic, lay Atlantis. Apply, a kingdom built on concentric rings of land and water. Its architecture was described as dazzling great palaces, vast temples, and harbors filled with ships of extraordinary design. Apply, at its center stood a temple dedicated to Poseidon, the god of the sea, crafted with walls of precious metals, adorned with gold, silver, and ivory. Apply, and said to shine brighter than the sun. This was not a mere city-state, but a powerful empire. Atlantis, according to Plato, commanded armies of immense strength. Will apply fleets of ships that could dominate entire seas, and wealth that surpassed the imagination. Its people were said to live in luxury, their society organized with remarkable precision. Apply laws, traditions, and religion bound them together, creating a civilization that seemed both divine and human. To Plato's audience, this was a picture of glory, and perhaps, apply, a warning of what could go wrong. For as dazzling as Atlantis appeared, Plato's account carried a shadow. He described how the Atlanteans, blessed with power and abundance, apply, slowly grew corrupt. Pride and greed began to eclipse wisdom and virtue. They sought to conquer more lands, extending their reach into Europe and Africa. Apply, threatening even the ancient city of Athens. The gods, angered by their arrogance, decided to punish them. In a single day and night of misfortune, apply. Atlantis was said to be swallowed by the sea and vanished without a trace. The account, though brief in Plato's writings, has sparked centuries of debate. Apply. Was he recounting a true history, a memory preserved from a time before recorded history? Or was Atlantis nothing more than an allegory? Apply. A story designed to teach moral lessons about hubris, excess, and the inevitable downfall of civilizations that forget humility. Apply. Many scholars argue that Plato invented Atlantis as a metaphor, a stage upon which to illustrate his philosophy, yet others insist that the vivid detail, the geographical descriptions, apply, and the story's connection to ancient Egyptian records suggests that there may be more truth than fiction in his words. What makes Plato's account so powerful is not just its detail, apply, but its timing. Written during the height of Athens' own glory, the story of Atlantis mirrored the dangers that Plato believed were creeping into his own society. In that sense, apply. It became more than just a tale of a sunken empire. It became a timeless mirror reflecting humanity's strengths and weaknesses across the ages. Apply. Whether Atlantis was real or imagined, the words of Plato have ensured that the city continues to live not beneath the ocean, but in the minds of all who dare to search for it. Apply. For every great legend, there is always the moment of downfall, the instant where glory crumbles into ruin. In the case of Atlantis, that moment is as dramatic as it is terrifying. Apply. According to Plato's writings, the mighty empire that once flourished with riches, armies, and wisdom was wiped out in the blink of an eye. Apply. It is said that in a single day and night of misfortune, Atlantis was swallowed by the sea. Imagine it, a city of gleaming temples, bustling ports, and towering palaces. Apply, all sinking beneath violent waves, vanishing without a trace, as if nature itself had erased their existence from the pages of history. What makes this account so haunting is its speed. Apply. Most civilizations collapse slowly, undone by war, famine, or years of decline. But Atlantis, if Plato's account is to be believed, met its fate in just 24 hours. Apply. A people who once believed themselves unshakable were brought to ruin almost instantly. Apply. The suddenness of this catastrophe is what keeps the story alive because it feels almost biblical, like a divine punishment or an apocalyptic warning to mankind. Apply. Ancient storytellers often spoke of the fury of the gods, thunderbolts, floods, and quakes sent to punish arrogance. Plato himself tied the destruction of Atlantis to divine anger. Apply. The Atlanteans, once noble, had grown corrupt. They sought to conquer nations, to enslave others, and to build an empire based not on justice but on greed. It was then he wrote that the gods turned their faces away. In their wrath, the earth shook, the seas rose, and the proud empire fell into the abyss. But beyond the myth, many have wondered. Apply. Could there be truth hidden in this description of disaster? Scientists and explorers have pointed to the possibility of natural catastrophes that might have inspired such a tale. Apply. A massive volcanic eruption, like the one that destroyed the island of Thera, modern-day Santorini, could have caused entire societies to vanish beneath ash and sea. Apply. Earthquakes and tsunamis, common in the Mediterranean and Atlantic regions, could have erased coastal cities in hours. To ancient witnesses, apply. Such an event would have seemed like the wrath of the gods themselves, a punishment too swift and terrible to comprehend. Apply. The sudden disappearance of Atlantis is also what fuels centuries of searching. If a civilization so advanced could vanish in one night, apply. What remains might still lie hidden beneath the waves, waiting to be uncovered. Maps have been drawn, expeditions launched. Apply. Sonar scans deployed across the ocean floor, all searching for traces of a lost empire buried by time and tide. Every unusual underwater ruin, every unexplained structure, apply, is seized upon as a potential clue to Atlantis' fate. And yet, even without physical proof, the story of Atlantis' sudden end carries its own undeniable power. Apply. It is not just the collapse of a city, it is the collapse of human pride, a lesson told in dramatic form where the greatest of societies falls not slowly, but violently. Apply. Stripped away in hours. Whether this is truth or allegory, it touches a deep chord within us, the fear of how fragile human achievement truly is. We build monuments, empires, apply, and systems we believe will last forever, yet history and perhaps Atlantis itself reminds us that permanence is an illusion. Apply. The sudden disappearance of Atlantis is less about what happened in that fateful night and more about what it represents. It is the reminder that nature, time, apply, and destiny are forces beyond our control. A city can be glorious, its people mighty, its rulers wise, but in the span of a single day, everything can change. Atlantis, apply, swallowed by the sea, is the eternal story of how quickly greatness can be washed away. When we think of Atlantis, we don't picture a primitive settlement clinging to survival. Apply. No, the story paints a vision of grandeur, a society so advanced that even thousands of years later, it feels almost futuristic. Apply. Plato's account describes a civilization with knowledge, organization, and technology far beyond the world of his time. To imagine Atlantis is to imagine a city of marvels. Apply. Gleaming towers rising from concentric rings of land and sea, wide avenues filled with merchants and travelers, harbors bustling with ships that dwarfed those of neighboring nations. Apply. At the heart of this empire stood a temple dedicated to Poseidon, the sea god said to be the protector of Atlantis. Its walls were plated in shining metals, bronze, silver, apply, and gold, while its ceilings glimmered with ivory. Statues carved from precious stone and rare metals filled the halls, some said to be taller than any man. Apply. Surrounding this sacred temple, the Atlanteans built palaces, courts, and great halls, their architecture blending strength with beauty. Imagine columns of marble stretching skyward. Apply. Intricate carvings that told stories of their ancestors and vast gardens blooming with exotic plants. But the brilliance of Atlantis was not just in its buildings, it was in its society. According to the tale, the empire was divided into 10 districts, each ruled by a king. Apply. These rulers governed with laws said to be etched into a golden pillar within the temple of Poseidon. This was a society bound by structure, discipline, and unity. Apply. The kings gathered every 5 years to discuss matters of law and judgment, swearing their oaths over sacred sacrifices. Such organizations suggested a civilization not ruled by chaos, apply, but by careful design, a system many modern nations would struggle to match. Atlantis also thrived on wealth. The land was rich in resources, fertile fields for crops. Apply. Forests filled with lumber, mines brimming with rare metals. They possessed orichalcum, a mysterious substance described as one of the most valuable metals of the ancient world. Second only to gold, with such abundance, the Atlanteans became masters of trade, their ships sailing far and wide, bringing back goods, ideas, apply, and treasures from every corner of the known world. Wealth poured into the city, and with it came art, knowledge, and cultural splendor. Equally striking was their command of the seas. Apply. Plato's writings describe a naval force unmatched by any rival. Thousands of ships, armed and ready, gave Atlantis control over vast territories. Apply. Their fleets projected power far beyond their shores, making them not just a local empire, but a global force in the ancient world. To contemporaries, Apply, this would have seemed like magic, a power that could dominate the oceans and rival even the gods. And yet, apply, perhaps the most intriguing detail of all, lies not in their riches or armies, but in their supposed technology. Accounts of water systems, irrigation, apply, and city planning hit at an intelligence centuries ahead of its time. Concentric canals linked the rings of the city, allowing ships to move easily from one district to another. Apply, aqueducts carried fresh water across great distances. Bridges connected the separated rings of land, blending engineering with elegance. Apply, some even believe that Atlantis harnessed energy in ways lost to us today, inspiring modern theories that connect the legend with forgotten sciences. Whether real or imagined, apply, the portrait of Atlantis as an advanced civilization remains irresistible. It wasn't just a story of wealth or beauty. It was a story of a people who seemed to have everything. Apply, power, knowledge, and vision. They were in many ways a civilization out of place, too brilliant for their time. Perhaps that is why the tale has endured. Apply, Atlantis stands as a reminder of what humanity dreams of becoming and a warning of how easily such greatness can crumble. For centuries, apply, the question has lingered like an echo through time. If Atlantis truly existed, where did it lie? The mystery of its location has fueled more speculation, exploration, apply, and obsession than perhaps any other lost world in human history. Plato's description gave only a few tantalizing clues. An island larger than Libya and Asia Minor combined. Apply, located beyond the Pillars of Hercules, the ancient name for the Strait of Gibraltar. From that vague direction, the hunt began, and with it, apply. Countless theories spread across the map of the world. One of the most enduring ideas places Atlantis in the Mediterranean itself. Some historians argue that the volcanic island of Thera, apply, today known as Santorini, matches Plato's account almost too perfectly. Around 1600 BC, a massive volcanic eruption devastated the island, sending shockwaves through the Aegean world. Apply, entire settlements were buried under ash, and tsunamis swept through surrounding coasts. To survivors, such a disaster would have seemed apocalyptic, and in later retellings, apply, it may have evolved into the myth of a sunken city. The ruins at Akrotiri, a Minoan settlement preserved in volcanic ash, offer eerie evidence of a civilization advanced in art, apply, architecture, and trade, suddenly destroyed by nature's fury. But others reject this Mediterranean theory, insisting Atlantis lay in the Atlantic Ocean. Apply, just as Plato's name suggests, some explorers have pointed to the Azores, a group of volcanic islands far out in the Atlantic, as the remnants of the lost empire. Apply, the underwater terrain around the Azores shows curious formations, ridges, plateaus, and structures that some claim resemble sunken walls or roads. To believers, apply, these are not mere geological accidents, but the last fragments of a once great kingdom swallowed by the sea. Another theory points to the Caribbean, apply, where shallow waters and submerged ruins near the Bahamas have stirred speculation for decades. In particular, the Bimini Road, a formation of large, apply, rectangular stones off the coast of Bimini, has captured imaginations. To some, it looks like an ancient man-made harbor or roadway, a possible link to Atlantis. Apply. Skeptics dismiss it as natural limestone shaped by the sea, but for seekers of lost worlds, the resemblance to an engineered structure is too striking to ignore. Apply. Still others push the theory even further, suggesting Atlantis may have been located in South America. Plato's descriptions of a vast empire, rich in gold and resources, apply, have led some to connect it to the civilizations of the Andes, the Inca Empire, and the mysterious ruins of places like Tiwanaku in Bolivia. Apply, seem to echo aspects of the Atlantis legend, advanced societies, sudden declines, and monuments whose origins still spark debate. Some believe that instead of sinking, apply, Atlantis may have been a misunderstood memory of a land across the ocean, discovered and forgotten by ancient travelers. There are even those who turn the story inward, apply, suggesting Atlantis never sank beneath the sea at all but lies beneath our feet. Strange ruins buried under the sands of the Sahara, apply, particularly the rich structure, also known as the Eye of the Sahara, have drawn comparisons to Plato's description of concentric rings of land and water. Apply, satellite imagery of this massive circular formation has reignited speculation that perhaps Atlantis was not an island in the ocean, but a forgotten city in the heart of Africa. Apply, erased by shifting climates and time. Every theory, from the Mediterranean to the Atlantic, from the Caribbean to Africa, reflects humanity's desire to anchor the myth in reality. Apply, each possibility fuels expeditions, books, documentaries, and dreams, and perhaps that is the greatest power of the Atlantis mystery, not whether it existed in one place or another, apply, but how the search itself has spanned the globe, uniting explorers across centuries in pursuit of a city that may never be found. For all its power as a legend, apply, Atlantis refuses to remain only in the past. Even today, in an age of satellites and deep-sea exploration, the mystery of its existence still lingers. Apply. Modern science and technology have breathed new life into the search, uncovering strange patterns, unexplained ruins, and tantalizing fragments of evidence that keep the question alive. Apply. Was Atlantis more than just a story? One of the most compelling pieces of modern intrigue comes from the ocean floor itself. Apply. Advanced sonar scans and satellite imaging have revealed puzzling formations beneath the waves, symmetrical lines, rectangular patterns, and massive structures that, to some eyes, Apply. Resemble the outlines of roads, walls, and even city grids off the coast of Cuba, deep below the Caribbean Sea. Will apply. Researchers reported discovering geometric stone formations stretching for miles. These shapes, they claimed, looked eerily like the foundations of man-made buildings, Apply, raising questions about whether a forgotten city could truly lie drowned beneath the waves. Then there is the Bimini Road off the coast of the Bahamas, discovered in the 1960s. Apply. A stretch of large, rectangular limestone blocks lies submerged in shallow waters, aligned in a way that suggests deliberate construction. To many, Apply, it resembles a harbor wall or ancient pathway. Skeptics argue it is nothing more than natural rock fractured by geological processes. But for believers, Apply, the Bimini Road remains one of the most tangible links to the lost empire. Its discovery sparked a new wave of excitement in the Atlantis story. Apply, coinciding with predictions made by the mystic Edgar Cayce, who claimed that Atlantis would rise again in the 20th century. Beyond physical formations, Apply, there are also ancient maps that fuel speculation. The Piri Reis map, drawn in the early 1500s by a Turkish admiral, Apply, depicts parts of the world with surprising accuracy, including coastlines of South America and Antarctica long before they were officially discovered. Apply, some argue that such knowledge could only have come from a far older civilization with advanced navigation, perhaps Atlantis itself. Apply. Though mainstream historians caution against reading too much into these maps, they remain an enduring puzzle, a whisper from a forgotten time. Modern geology has also played its role. Apply. Scientists have found evidence of catastrophic floods in Earth's past, sudden rises in sea level caused by melting ice caps at the end of the last ice age, around 12,000 years ago. Apply. Vast amounts of water surged into the oceans, reshaping coastlines and drowning entire landmasses. Apply. This timeline eerily matches Plato's claim that Atlantis vanished around 9,000 years before his era. Could his story be a distant memory of a real event? Apply, passed down through generations until it reached his pen. Even archaeology has not escaped the shadow of Atlantis. Apply. Ruins discovered at sites like Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, older than the pyramids and Stonehenge, show that advanced societies existed far earlier than once believed. Apply. Massive stone pillars, complex carvings, and organized construction from over 11,000 years ago challenge our understanding of ancient civilizations. Apply. If such wonders could exist in an age once thought primitive, could Atlantis have been another forgotten chapter in humanity's deep past? Of course, Apply. Not all evidence convinces the scientific community. Many so-called discoveries can be explained by natural formations, human imagination, or misinterpretation, and yet, Apply. The persistence of these mysteries continues to captivate. With every unexplained anomaly, every strange underwater image, every ruin that defies history, Apply. The possibility of Atlantis lingers at the edge of credibility. Perhaps that is the true legacy of modern evidence. It has not proven the existence of Atlantis, Apply, but it has kept the legend alive. Each discovery, whether dismissed or debated, adds another layer to the puzzle. And as technology advances, as submarines dive deeper, Apply, satellites scan wider, and archaeologists unearth older wonders, the hope remains that one day the truth will finally surface. Until then, Atlantis endures not only in myth, Apply, but in the restless curiosity of modern science, forever just beyond our reach. Every great story carries a lesson, and the tale of Atlantis is no exception. Apply. Whether or not the city truly existed, its destruction resonates less as a historical event and more as a cautionary tale about the fragility of human greatness. At its core, Apply. The legend is about more than a city lost beneath the sea. It is about pride, power, and the consequences of forgetting the values that make civilizations endure. Apply. Plato described the Atlanteans as a people once noble and just blessed with resources, wisdom, and strength. Apply. They lived in harmony with one another and with the gods who watched over them. Their empire, shining with wealth and beauty, seemed destined to last forever. But over time, Apply, their hearts changed. Prosperity gave way to greed. Unity fractured into ambition. The Atlanteans began a hunger for domination, reaching beyond their borders. Apply, seeking to enslave and conquer other lands. What had been a society of balance became corrupted by arrogance. It was this corruption, Plato wrote, that angered the gods. Apply, they had given Atlantis abundance, but the people squandered it. They had been granted wisdom, but chose to abuse it. And so the punishment came. Apply, a cataclysm so swift and final that not a trace of the empire remained. In a single day and night, Atlantis was swallowed by the sea, erased as though it had never existed. Apply. The lesson was clear. Even the greatest civilizations are vulnerable when they forget humility. For centuries, this moral has echoed across history, each time taking new meaning. Apply. Some see Atlantis as a mirror held up to humanity's repeated mistakes. Rome, once glorious, fell to decadence and division. The Maya and the Indus Valley civilizations, apply, advanced in their own times, collapsed under pressures of greed, war, or ecological strain. In this sense, Atlantis is not just one story, apply, but every story, a symbol of the cycle of rise and fall that defines human history. The warning extends beyond the past. Today, as modern nations command vast technologies, apply, global influence, and resources greater than any civilization before, the tale of Atlantis feels strikingly relevant. We live in skyscrapers that gleam like the palaces Plato described. Apply, with fleets of ships and machines that command the seas and skies. Yet, just like the Atlanteans, we face the same temptations, greed, exploitation. Apply, and a belief that our power makes us untouchable. If Atlantis teaches anything, it is that no civilization is beyond collapse. Nature itself, in the form of earthquakes, floods, apply, or climate, can erase in moments what humanity built in centuries. And when arrogance blinds us to our own fragility, we become authors of our own downfall. Apply. But the story is not only a warning, it is also a reflection of hope. Plato may have intended Atlantis as a reminder that justice, humility, apply, and balance with the natural world are the foundations of true strength. A civilization that honors these values may endure, while one that abandons them will eventually face the waves. Apply. Atlantis then becomes more than a city. It becomes a parable, urging every generation to remember that greatness lies not in wealth or conquest, but in wisdom and restraint. Apply. Whether or not Atlantis ever truly existed does not diminish its symbolic power. Its legacy lies in the way it forces us to reflect on ourselves, on what we are building, apply, what we are risking, and what lessons we choose to ignore. The image of a city glittering with gold only to vanish beneath the sea is not just a myth. Apply. It is a timeless reminder that even the mightiest empires stand on fragile ground, and that humility may be the only anchor strong enough to withstand the storms of time.